Hi guys, Trent here for a follow-up video to my Persona 5 review. Now if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check the link in the description below, because I'm really going to be building off some of the things that I talked about there. Today's video is going to be rife with our favorite thing in the whole wide world! Spoilers! I'm going to be discussing plot and character details for Persona 5, so if you haven't played it yet, or you're not done yet, now is your chance to close the window. Still here? Good! 'Cause fuck you, Igor! There are a couple of things that I want to focus on in this video. The first is going to be how Persona 5 is a new and quite exciting direction for this series, and JRPGs in general. Now, as I said in my review of the gameplay itself isn't a big departure. You've still got your personas that you still use to perform magic, and you still use them to boost your attack power in various ways. You still have your social links and the romance elements. You still have a world to save and a mystery to unravel. What is different is where these threats come from. Let's take a look at this quote from a thank you letter written by Persona 5 director Katsura Hashino. I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but I think that traditional Japanese superhero stories tend to be about fighting off invaders from outside their society, while Western ones focus on fighting against villains and misfits that come from within it. If you think about it, this quote really puts things into a bit of perspective. Previously in the Persona series, we were tackling creatures and entities that came from outside the society and community we found ourselves in. Izanami is a goddess from beyond time. Nyx is literally the personification of death. These are things that are beyond human control, definitely outside of society. In Persona 5, however, you're the outsider. Every single member of the main cast is a misfit in some way, shape, or form. What you're fighting is the embodiment of society, and of society's desires. The embodiment of our move towards apathy. Every single villain is given authority. Sometimes it's officially, and sometimes simply because of their cunning or position. This is a much more Western view of the world, as well as of superhero and fantasy stories in general. This is really interesting because in that same letter, Katsura-san says he wasn't entirely sure if this game would be as popular, and specifically that the story would go over well overseas. In fact, he says that Persona 5 is a very Japanese story with some political aspects to it, so I couldn't imagine how Western players would react to it. I did know, however, that Persona 5 was highly anticipated by gamers overseas, even back when we were developing the game, so I was curious to see how the story would be received. Which kind of brings me on to my next point, which is the political timing of this game. Now, I alluded to this in my review of Persona 5, but the theme of rebellion in this game resonates quite strongly with me, partly because of the political situations but in both my home countries, but also because I'm generally a rebel at heart. Fight the power, burn this place to the ground, all that good stuff. Now, that theme of rebellion is likely what made this game such a hit with those outside of Japan. Many young people, myself included, are desperate for a way to change our political systems and disenfranchise with our inability to do so. So when Shido, the embodiment of all political corruption in any political system, rears his ugly head and becomes the central antagonist, you're goddamn right I wanted to take him down. Persona 5 had a really long production time, even for a game of this size, with numerous delays and setbacks, so there is no way, short of time travel, for them to have known what sort of environment they were going to be releasing this game into. So don't get me wrong, I don't think this is a political statement by Atlus or Sega or the P Studios team. Instead, I think this is a happy coincidence, one that I'm happy to take part in and use to vent my ever-growing frustration with those in authority in a way that is slightly more productive and legal than starting random fires again. By the end of the game, you're not only saving society from being forced to live in a nightmarish world of anime bullshit, but you're also saving them from themselves. From giving up control of their lives to those who certainly do not have their best interests at heart. You are, in fact, liberating society from its own apathy. Now, the final boss is a collection of people's desires for an easy life, as opposed to one where they must fight for what they want and what they deserve. Which brings me to the biggest twist of the game. No, I don't mean Akechi. We all saw that coming a mile away. I'm talking about, and say it with me now, fucking Igor! There is some real brilliance in this decision to have there be a false Igor who serves as the antagonist of the story. Now, between the release of Persona 4 and the development of Persona 5, the Japanese voice actor for Igor sadly passed away. Fans of the series, both in Japan and around the world, were ready for a new voice and a new take on the character, who had been one of the few constants in the series over the last 20 years. When the protagonist first meets Igor, I personally was quite thrown back by the deep voice he's been given. It was almost startlingly different from what we've known about the character. But we accept it because, again, we know that he's been recast. We know that the voice actor died. They're going to have somebody new. It's not until the end of the game when Igor is revealed to be Yalda Baelf? Whatever his name is, he shows up and is genuinely one of the few times I've been completely caught off guard by a twist in a game since I started writing and dissecting them on a daily basis. It is an absolutely ballsy move on the part of Atlus, and one that really worked out for them on this front. It's not something they're ever going to be able to do again, so the fact that they took advantage of it this time speaks a lot to their bravery and their commitment to the series. So what did you guys think? Did you see that plot twist coming? Did you enjoy it? What do you think the different themes were? How well do you think those themes were played out? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, be sure to like and subscribe. See you next time!